Hello, 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 everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful, wonderful day. Happy Tuesday. I'll go ahead and take this ticker out and we'll go ahead and get started. Yay. And of course, as soon as I say that, I'm like, I need to share my screen really quick because we're starting with a video. But before I get too ahead of myself, I do want to introduce the episode. Today is episode 45 of Overtures. I can't believe we are already this far in episodes. It's crazy. I'm getting into the 30s in terms of editing older episodes and getting them on Spotify and Apple Music. So I'm feeling really good and really proud of myself. So yeah, that's all I have to say for today. But for now, we'll go ahead and pull up this clip of my guest belting her face off. It's going to be great.
Woman, I am born. What does woman mean? Must my dreams face scorn, held back and unseen? But when you have a dream and you're caught in its grip, you can climb aboard a ship. You can, for you're a man. And you can reach for that place where the earth meets the sky. Fight a battle, be brave, be true. If you can do it, why not I meant to fly, sail unrestrained. Why is men free and woman chained? Is that my epitaph? Before I die, I should be free, free to be grace. I want to feel the wind on my face, and when life beckons, I should go face out the storm, not stay below. Am I to be just a woman? No, not I.
such an incredible clip of them. I can't get over it. We'll talk about that more in a sec. Anyway, here's their bio. My guest today is a New York-based actor and graduate of Wagner College's theater performance program. They are passionate about telling stories of all kinds, whether they be on stage, screen, podcasts, or in your imagination. Currently, you can hear her as alien musician Woe Olam in Roguemaker, a science fiction podcast available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Select credits include Janet Vandegraff in The Drowsy Chaperone, Afra Ben in Or, and CB's sister in Dog Sees God. My guest today is such a wonderful and dear friend of mine. They are so passionate about this thing that we do called theater, and they have taught me so much. She's also incredibly talented. Did I neglect to mention that? Anyway, this is Alexandra Rose DeAngelis. Hi. I'm so happy to have you on. We were just gushing before going live that it has been too long because sometimes we're just not great at communication.
Texting is hard, but
texting and
Lora
texting
is always the best thing ever.
Thank you. Oh man, I miss you so much. I'm so glad that we get to share this space together and that we were finally able to reschedule this episode just due to so many different things and me getting COVID. So I'm glad that we're here. Happy to be here. How do we know each other? Wagner College. Good old Wagner College.
Small world.
Such a small world. It really is.
You went to Wagner too? Oh my God.
Oh my God, what? And you were a year behind me. So I was in class in 2019. You were in the class of 2020. I'm pretty sure you were one of the first people I met in your class. Yourself and Ross, for sure. I believe were like the first ones I met. I also might have met you on audition day. I don't remember.
I think so, maybe. It's so long ago. I'm like,
no, it's
trying
okay.
to dig into my mind palace. But I do remember meeting you during orientation and being like, this is exactly what people mean when they're like, the students at Wagner are the nicest people in the world. Like I met you, I'm like, oh wow, this person is made of sunshine and rainbows. I will be her friend. That is my goal now. And I somehow tricked you into being my friend and it worked.
Well, yes. I mean, look, hey, that's skills on your part, but also like you're also amazing. So who's to say? No, because I feel like I had re-auditioned for Wagner's theater performance track, and I have a feeling we might have been in the same audition group. Again, such a blur because there was so much going on that day because there were some incoming students mixed in with like the
we definitely were. We definitely were.
Which is funny because
I remember being with the internal transfer group. Yes.
Which is really funny because I don't remember anyone's auditions, let alone my own from that day because there was just such a high level of tension for especially the internal transfers and stuff too, but it's okay. We all ended up where we needed to be and it all worked out great. And I'm also trying to remember, did we have classes together? We were constantly with each other, but if you told me to name a class we were in together, I think maybe maybe.
Yeah, I think we might have had like one, or maybe like ballet. We might have had a ballet class together.
Yeah, which is so funny to me that we didn't have more beyond that because I feel like we were constantly around each other.
Yeah, you're such like when I think of Wagner, you're one of the first people that come into my mind. I'm like, yeah, now that you mentioned that, we did not have many classes together.
No.
But I do. We danced.
Yeah, we danced.
We had fun.
Exactly. Yeah. We had extracurriculars. And I feel like we were just always in the dining hall together anyway because you and I
always in D hall, always in guild.
Yes, exactly. So we were bound to run into each other all the time. And then I was also like thinking to myself, I'm like, did we do any shows together? And again, I don't believe so. I did run the soundboard for Or, so I can claim that because I got to watch you play Afra Ben, directed by the amazing Brian Scambody, which was such a joy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And he's like full-time.
My favorite show.
He's like full-time now, assistant professor. I'm so happy for him. He's definitely one of the professors that I felt like I learned from some of the most, like him and Mickey Tenenbaum.
Between acting for the camera. Oh, Mickey. I loved Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey, I loved Brian. Brian is like one of the main reasons I realized that I could do not musical theater, actually.
Yeah. Or is such a special play, and I wish more people knew about it.
I mention it to everyone. Anytime I have like a theater dump with people, I'm like, do you know of Or? have you ever heard of this little musical play or
Yeah, no,
it's very good. It's by
amazing.
Liz Duffy Adams for people watching. Comma. It's about Afra Ben, who's an incredible real woman.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore because it took place
it was so long ago
when King Charles II was king.
Yep.
So she's not a real woman anymore, but she was. And it's just about her life as like a playwright, and it's a historical fiction restoration era comedy. It's brilliantly written, and it was
we
so
have
fun
someone
to
in
be
chat here who saw you in it. So Alex was fantastic.
That's my friend Rook.
Yes,
thank you. Rook.
Yes, no, thank you, Rook, for joining in, and hi, welcome. But agreed, because I watched you from the sound booth every night, and I'm like, you're killing it, because that show is a sprint from start to finish, not just for you, but everyone. It was it was so high in terms of like high level of technicality and words, but it was also a farce. Like, you guys are running around, like, so much physical comedy is involved. It's crazy. And I'm noticing that Alex's screen. Oh no. Okay. Alex's video just paused. They can't hear me, but I can hear her. So we're going to mess around a little bit. If need be, I can call and we can get this figured out. So don't worry about the technical difficulties. Sorry, everyone.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay. I
don't know if I was frozen or if you were frozen.
You're still frozen visually on my end, but
oh my goodness. I hope I'm frozen in a good pose at least.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not the best, but it's not the worst.
Great.
Something that I've dealt with before is if you can try muting on your end, I'm gonna call you. Oh, your video is up to date now. So let's go ahead and play with that for a little bit. But if for some reason it goes out again, something that I've done in the past is had my guest, like I've called my guest, I hold it up to the mic, and as long as you turn on your like sound and everything on your end, we can play with that. But that's
cool
if it happens again.
It won't happen again though. That was just
it was just a one little thing. Like, it's never gonna happen again. But yes, no, what I was saying with the high level of technicality of the language and mixed with the physical comedy, absolutely insane. But also I like want to dramaturg that show now because of how much history is involved, but also like it's so fun and so queer. It's fantastic.
Yes, it was like so fun being able to play a character who was undeniably bisexual on stage. Yes. It was just I love Or. We need to talk about things other than Or else I'll be here like
no, that's
10
okay.
hours.
That's okay. I was gonna go on to the next notes that I have anyway. In terms of reminiscing, you got me to do my first background gig in film or TV and film. We did that together. We worked on an episode of The Blacklist, which was so fun because you were. I don't remember how it came up, but you were like, "Do you want to do background with me like the day after Easter? Like, are you going to be on campus?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And you got me into it, and we did it. And it was this protest scene at Queens College. That was a crazy day, but also I am so glad you got me into that and that we did it together, because I've done so much more since then. And it was so nice to be able to like walk on to set and be like, okay, I have a vague idea of like what's supposed to happen, because I've seen some people who have zero clue what's happening on set.
Yeah. It also was like the nicest background gig ever, because I've done like a good amount since then. Never have I been treated as nicely as we were at the Blacklist. They gave us like
the amount
level
of food.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like I think the one that I did right after that, they were like, here's your lunch. It's day-old rice and some chicken. Compared to like, we got like fresh made bagels and cereal bars, and there were burritos for us.
Well, and like I've been on some smaller sets where they're like, yeah, just get in line with SAG for breakfast. Like, we don't care. And then lunch it's separated. But like for Blacklist, they like, I've never been on like a big set since then, like Blacklist, that had such good non-union food. So like,
yeah,
I mean, that's a gauge right there of whether your set's good or not, is the food.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, if they don't feed you well, leave. That's a joke, mostly.
Yeah, mostly a joke.
Or bring your own food.
Yeah. I try and do a little bit of both, but also at the same time, I'm like, no, give me food. But and
free food is a perk.
It's true. And that wasn't your first background gig, because you were definitely like, yeah, we need to do this. Had you done other ones before that?
I'm trying to remember. I think that actually was my first background gig.
You
I
just had
did
such
a ridiculous amount of research. I think I asked Colleen Kelly. I think I definitely was like, Colleen, what do I do here?
Which is incredible
because
she's now been a former guest on the show as well, and we go in depth talking about her experiences, especially recently with like Law and Order, doing stand-in work, but also like playing a dead body and stuff like that. So so fun. She's also a wonderfully knowledgeable human being.
She was so helpful. I'm glad that her knowledge made it seem like I had knowledge.
Oh, it definitely did. I was like, Alex, what am I doing? And you're like, come this way. So it was great. But perfect. Kind of getting to back to the beginning of things for you. How did you first get started in theater?
Oh, that's such a weird question for me because I truly can't remember the point where it started. It just was.
Yeah, no, you and I are very similar in that sense of like, we were born into it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, you know this, but maybe the viewers at home don't.
Exactly.
My dad is a casting director and my mom was an actress for like 20, 30 years. So growing up, it was just so much in my environment. I grew up watching and listening to musicals. Like I would watch the pro shot of Cats, not the movie, the like professionally filmed musical, and then the OBC Into the Woods filming. And I would watch it like back to back every night. And that was just like how I grew up. I didn't watch like any cartoons or anything. I was like, oh my God, time to watch Cats and like be upset that they cut Growl Tiger's last stand. You know, it was one of those things. And, but so I grew up just with that and that love kind of for theater being so surrounding me. And then I have a vivid memory of when I was 7 or so. And my mom like sat me down. And my dad might have been there too, but I remember my mom saying this specifically because I think they were starting to worry that I was only getting into theater and enjoying theater because they were both so into it. And my mom was like, Alexandra, you know, if you wanted to be a scientist or a doctor or a lawyer, like we just don't want you to feel like we're making you do this. And I looked at her, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to be an actor. Bye.
And like what a wonderfully responsible like conversation for your parents to have with you. But I just think it's so funny that you're like, no, I'm good. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm good. I know what I'm doing. But yeah, I just grew up with the love for it and everywhere I could. I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Yeah.
And that makes me also wonder, because like a huge part of this show, as you probably know, is that like I ask about everyone's like overture moment, or if there was a specific light bulb moment that made you decide, oh, I'm actually going to like pursue this as a career. I wonder, did you have that, or was that just sort of a thing that you grew into?
It's interesting because I don't think I had that in deciding that I wanted to pursue it, because I think that was always there. I did have a moment.
I think you'll enjoy this comment. I know what I'm doing with my life. I'm 7. I think that's a fantastic comment from the chat.
Absolutely. This is especially funny because Rook knew me when I was 7.
Perfect.
Rook and I went to theater camp together. USDAN, Center of the Creative and Performing Arts. Shout out to USDAN. But I think I always knew that I wanted to do it. And then at some point, I forget specifically when, at Wagner, I was just, as like everyone I think does when they're first starting to actually break through, have the moment of like, can I really do this? Is this going to happen? And I want to say it was a mix of that really, like bringing it back full circle to that really solidified it, because was my first time since high school being like a leading lady and being a part of a show like that and being trusted with so much material and so much work. And I was like, oh, okay, people do see me as someone who can handle this and do this.
Yeah.
And that was so incredible. And then also I was doing, I don't know if you've ever worked with Judy McLean. She's come to Wagner a couple of times.
The name is familiar.
She's incredible. I knew her like outside of Wagner, and then also kind of through Wagner, we reconnected. And I had like a voice lesson with her where she just was so incredibly like candid and open with me and how she saw me in the world. And it was just so kind and loving and complimentary. And it was a lot of things that I really needed to hear at the time. So I don't know if that counts as an overture moment, but it definitely was like an encore moment.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it was,
just like
it was that like, yeah.
It was the little nudge I needed before going into my senior year that like helped me
reassurance
so much.
of like that reassurance of like, this isn't just something I've been doing all my life, but this is something that like I will do. If that kind of makes sense.
Definitely. You definitely took the rambling and made it into like an eloquent 2 sentences. So thank you.
No, you're good. You're good. I try and do what I can here as a host. And of course, first of all, in talking about your musical theater background, I have to compliment you on your knowledge of musical theater, and specifically the fact that you know so much musical theater that people don't know. A lot of like really niche, wonderful music and shows that have like been forgotten or like pushed aside. You have this wonderful like knowledge, and I'm sure a lot of that comes from your dad and your mom, who both have like a vast knowledge of this theater world. But you've been so helpful in helping people, and including myself, on like audition material and like finding things that are rarely heard in the room in particular.
Thank you. Yeah, I got a weird encyclopedia brain, and I like to share it with my friends.
No, absolutely, because it's so vast, and I know that it's so helpful, because so often I'm like, oh yeah, this is a great song, this is great, and then like someone's like, oh yeah, like I used to have that one in my book for years, and I'm like, God damn it. So like it's awesome, because I'll ask you and you'll be like, oh yeah, here's these 5 songs and no one ever sings them ever, and I'm like, you're so right, I've never heard of that, but these are all incredible.
That full credit excuse me, that full credit goes to my parents, because we would, even growing up, I'd be like, let's listen to Wicked, which I love Wicked. Wicked is so good. But then they'd be like, actually, have you heard of Evening Primrose? I think you'd really like Evening Primrose. And they were right. I do really like Evening Primrose. But it's things like that where like on road trips, I was just listening to obscure musical theater growing up, and it stuck.
No, I feel that. And like, granted, this is much less on the obscure path of it, but there was definitely a car ride or two where my dad was like, I think you're old enough now. We're going to listen to Chorus Line. And like from that point on, just like obsessed with it. So I definitely get that. Oh, so do I. So do I. That's like a dream one for me still. But I think there's definitely something to be said of like, I think you need to listen to this show. And I love doing that with like fellow friends, being like, I don't think you know this show, but I think you need to know this show.
Yeah. There's something like really, what's the word? It's not, intimate isn't the word, but there's something very special about like hearing something and immediately being like, this is a song Lora should sing, or this is a story that like you should know. And I think part of the reason I do that, or I like tell that to other people, is when people do it for me, I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I'm like, I want to do that to other people. Here,
you're like, I want to
throw musicals into the void.
Yeah, you're like, I want to offer that to you because I know how wonderful it feels when people do it for me. And I 100% agree with that. And I also thank you for doing that, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I love it, and then don't put it back out into the universe. And so just like, this is me with so many of my close friends, being able to like say, yes, you're one of those people who puts out into the universe what they get back. And that's so important, I feel like, in this industry. And so I just had to take a moment and give the space for us to be like, yes, you do that. And that's amazing. But I have some Instagram questions to get to, so got to do those first. Speaking of songs and music, our good friend Liam Abate asked the question, what's a comfort song for you when you're stressed or need some relaxation?
A musical theater song or any song?
Let's do both, like maybe one of each.
Okay.
If you can.
Let me check my Spotify real quick and see what I've recently been listening to.
You're like, what's on my queue?
Because I've recently been listening to so many different songs and things. Okay, musical theater. Oh my goodness. Okay. When I'm, this is like so hard, and it's so weird because I was just like having like a shower singing session the other day where I was singing a bunch of songs and now I can't remember any of them.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I think truly, I know I just mentioned Evening Primrose, but I remember from Evening Primrose is definitely a comfort song for me. It especially was in the beginning of the pandemic, where I was just like, time to close all the blinds and listen to I Remember and sing I Remember. And it was even more emotional and touching because the recording that's my favorite one to listen to is the one with Teresa McCarthy singing it.
Just like in the heart.
I know,
right
I know. It's like I graduate college and like time to listen to Teresa's beautiful voice.
Let me listen to my professor just singing to me gently in my ear.
So I remember from Evening Primrose, anything from Into the Woods. Into the Woods is a big comfort show for me. It's my favorite musical. I still have it somewhere in my house. My script, my parents got me like the script for Into the Woods when I was 4 years old. And on the inside cover, it has Alexandra Rose DeAngelis with little crayon trees that I drew around it.
I love that.
That's my answer for musical theater songs when I'm stressed or need some relaxation. And then for non-musical theater, there's an artist called Juniper Vale who I've been very into because she's kind of like an indie pop, very comforting. A lot of her albums and songs are about like finding connections and finding home and finding where you belong. So if you haven't listened to Juniper Vale, this is my recommendation for Juniper Vale.
I'm like over here. I'm like, I guess I should write that into my Spotify. Like check out soon.
Juniper Vale and Dodie Clark are my comfort non-musical theater. See, this is me proving I listen to not musical theater.
Hey, there you go. And then an Instagram question from For Space is Wide. What's the toughest role you've ever played?
Ooh. Okay. I think that's from that's my friend Emma. Yeah. Emma, who created Roguemaker, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
The toughest role I've ever played. Okay, it's a tie between Afra Ben and Janet.
Yeah.
Afra, because I just had to build up so much endurance to be her. If you don't know,
it's the whole time.
Yeah, it's a 90-minute show in which I think I have like a total of 3 minutes when I'm not on stage.
And I think that's like actually, a costume change.
It sort of was. It wasn't supposed to be, but it happened right after Afra has a very intense kissing scene with King Charles II. And if you remember Ryan, who played King Charles, beautiful blonde hair and beautiful blonde beard, had to have a brunette wig and therefore a brunette beard. So during that scene in particular, I kind of chimney sweeped a little. So it was a quick change in the sense that I had to run off stage and wipe everything off and reapply makeup. But no, just Afra because of the sheer memorization and endurance that was needed to keep track of. My biggest fear was that I would forget where we were in the show. And that never happened. Thank God. But I was like, I'm being spun and pulled and going through doors and being kissed by like everyone always. So definitely Afra just because of that. Also, British accent. Oh, it was fun and I loved doing it, but getting that accent right was a struggle. Worth it, but and then Janet, just because similarly the endurance of being able like Show Off is one of the hardest songs I've ever had to do in my life. And I loved every second of it, but that also I was like singing it every day, just doing jumping jacks while singing it, making myself so out of breath. So when the time the show came, I would be able I was like, if I just make it really hard in rehearsal, it'll be easy in the show. The joke was it's never easy, but it's always fun.
Yes.
So yeah, those are my 2 answers, I think.
No, I think those are both fantastic answers. And obviously we don't need to discuss COVID in depth by any means, but you did have the chance to do a really, really cool Zoom theater project. You played CB's sister in Dramatists Unites collective production of Dog Sees God. So many of us at this point have done a Zoom project or 2, but I'm curious, how did you all go about putting this production together?
I loved Dog Sees God so much. Dramatists Unite Collective was founded by Justin Giacchetti. I'm so sorry, Justin, if you're watching this and I just butchered your last name. I'm Italian. I should be able to say it right. And so they like kind of created Dramatists Unite, I think during the pandemic also, to like as a way to make theater during this time, and also directed Dog Sees God. And I had worked with Justin previously at the New York Theater Festival Summerfest for a show called Faith in Shackles, which was amazing. And then I saw he was doing Dog Sees God. I love that show. One of my college audition monologues was from Dog Sees God. Probably shouldn't have been, because those monologues are done a lot. But I auditioned for it. I got cast as CV's sister, which has been like a dream role in the back of my head for years and years and years. And the way we just went about it was we tried to make it feel as much of a live theater experience as possible, which is really interesting because I think a lot of times Zoom theater tries, and it does work a lot of times, to make the video aspect feel diegetic, like feel like it is a part of the story.
Yeah.
And for Dog Sees God, we just kind of had the suspension of disbelief of like, all these people are in the same place. Audience, we trust that you'll just believe that.
Yeah.
And then we had some pre-recorded things that were dispersed throughout, which was really fun. So all of the platypus monologues that I did, we went to a black box theater, Justin and I, and filmed me going absolutely ham on the monologues. It was true like crackhead hours, and it was so fun. Or if you know Dog Sees God, the scene between Beethoven and Matt at the end in the music room, that was filmed and pre-shot, and that I think was really powerful because it was really the first time you saw
anyone
two characters in the same room, and that just made that moment so much more heartbreaking and powerful. But it really was just such a welcoming, great theater experience. There was a moment when I got cast in it where I was afraid that I would miss live theater doing it over Zoom.
Yeah.
And it was just such a good environment there where there wasn't a second where I was like, man, I really wish we were all in person. Like, obviously I did because I love the cast.
Right.
But it felt so close to live theater. And that's just a testament to the creative team and the cast and everyone who was working on it. And I loved it because it was
special.
So, yeah, it was a really good show.
And amazing. We also have a clip from it, so I'm going to share that really quick. Just a small little scene between you and I believe it's Beethoven. So we'll watch that real quick.
Where are you going?
It's a lunch period.
Want to sit together?
Oh, I'm not going to the cafeteria.
Where are you going?
I just have things I have to do.
Are you coming to the drama club meeting after school?
I'm not in the drama club.
You should be. It's really fun.
Aren't you like the only member?
Well, yeah, but it's given me a lot of time to work on my one-woman show. I'm thinking of calling it Cocooning into Platypus. Do you like that title?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Metamorph.
And I obviously don't want to give away your full platypus monologue, so people can go watch that on your website later.
A funny story about that scene in particular, that was one of the most rehearsed scenes that we did.
Really?
The little hallway scene. It's called The Pianist and the Platypus in the script, which I always loved. And because the timing of it, because we were on Zoom, we had to account for lag. So it was so much of just rehearsing the timing so it would feel like I was never shutting up while he would be able to cut me off without there being a weird space, and also with me not overlapping with him.
Yeah.
So that was definitely another Zoom theater side effect that I didn't realize until I'm like, oh yeah, we're slightly delayed for each other. Let's figure it out.
And that's where a good director comes in too.
Mm-hmm. Once again, shout out to Justin. They're a godsend. One of like the best directors ever. I loved working with him.
That's so special. And it's so good to be able to point to like a Zoom theater experience and being like, yeah, that was something that felt good and productive in my soul, because yeah.
And it was the first show I did since like lockdown too. So it was very, very special to me.
Absolutely. And of course, I know you have played many a D&D campaign. And I love getting to talk to D&D players who are also theater people, because it is literally, it's filled with building characters, storylines, improvisation. So how did you first get involved with D&D?
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons, for those who don't know.
Yeah. The cool people call it D&D.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I got involved in D&D originally because anyone who knows D&D has probably heard of this little show called Critical Role, which is a phenomenal series about a live stream, a live play of a bunch of professional voice actors playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I watched that, and I had also been like aware of D&D, but watching that and kind of learning the rules and how D&D actually worked through watching them, I was like, I want to play. And then I went on Tumblr and searched the looking for players tag, which is a thing that you can do. A lot of people who don't have like home D&D groups can just look for people online. And I saw a post where someone was like, I'm looking for players, like requirements, you must be over 18, you must be like LGBT plus friendly, you must be cool with having a female DM, like Dungeon Master, the person who runs the game, DM. And I was like, I'm all those things and more. I'll sign up. And I reached out to this stranger on the internet, started playing D&D with her and a group of total strangers. 4 years later, we're all going to the Ren Fair together, and we're like such close friends.
I love that.
That's how I got into D&D. And then I fell in love with it, and I maintain that I would not be the actor that I am today without Dungeons and Dragons.
No, and I was about to like ask, what are like, there's so many overlapping aspects of D&D and theater. So what are maybe obviously some obvious ones, but what are some not obvious ones that people may not realize?
Yeah. Okay, so the obvious ones are obviously you're creating a character, you are playing the character. It's essentially long form collaborative improv.
Yeah.
And then you sometimes roll dice to see if you succeed or fail at things.
Exactly.
But I think a thing that people don't realize until you really do play it is that it is so incredibly immersive. Like the way you connect to these characters and the way like a person just dives in. I have a vivid memory of, I would play D&D in college. I started junior year with the group that I mentioned, and we played Tuesday nights. It was every Tuesday night. And obviously, like if I had rehearsal or something, I would miss it. But we had one session where our games are usually 3 to 4 hours, and we had like a 6-hour session. Someone died in the game. I was so connected. I was sobbing. I was feeling like all the emotions. And I remember going into acting 3 the next day and like going up to Teresa and being like, I just had a breakthrough last night playing D&D. Let me tell you about it, because I need you as a professor to like
tell me what
give
happened.
me feedback and figure out what happened. Because so much of acting in the theater sphere is based on, I mean, there's Stanislavski, Meisner, Uta Hagen. We all know those names.
The classics.
But I'm so into like the Uta Hagen approach of taking from your own experiences and using that to inform your character, as opposed to like trying to become the character going full method. I really like you take what you had, you go into that. And definitely that's a lot of keeping yourself as an actor safe as well. And I can talk about that forever too. But in D&D, it's this weird in between where you're so immersed, but then also you're like, oh, now I have so many things I can pull from for theater. Like now I really do in a weird way know what it's like to like lose a close friend or like fight against some great opponent. And so I think that's something people don't realize, is how affected you can be by it. And also it's just made me get better at improv as just a whole other thing. In high school and also in college a little bit, whenever we had to do like proper improv, I would always just be like, time to not be seen. It's like, I will not be perceived in this moment. If I don't move, the teacher can't make me do improv. And through D&D now, I'm like, no, I can do improv. I do it once a week for 3 to 4 hours. I can do improv in other ways too now, I think. So that's another side effect.
Yeah, no, because like I think for me, like I ended up as a part of Villanova's program, our last slot during my second year ended up being a full-blown mockumentary film, and something that I discovered through that.
Good. It was
thank
so
you.
good.
Something that I discovered through that, and I'm like, oh, I'm really good at improvisation if I know who my character is. When you just throw something at me, I'm like, I have zero freaking clue what's happening. But as soon as you give me like a full-blown character and I know who they are, I'm like, okay, I'll keep improvising for like however long you need me to. So like, I think that's very similar, I'm sure, with D&D.
Yeah, that is 100% it. And that also translates into like live action role playing and other TTRPGs and things like that, where it's like, just seconding everything you said. You really just delved into my mind and figured out what was going on in there.
No, you're good. You're good. And then hopping to another question from our good friend Liam Abate. Like he always asks the best questions. He wanted to know, what are some of your favorite D&D character ideas?
Yes. Ideas that I've had or ideas that are still in my mind?
Either one, honestly.
My first thing when I think of any D&D character is what type of character do I want to be, and then I'll build based on that. So a lot of time, because in Dungeons and Dragons, if viewers at home, if you don't know, I don't know why I keep on addressing the viewers at home.
That's okay.
Like that.
We have 5 of them, so yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Woo! All 5 of you, if you don't know about how character building in D&D goes, you have your character race, which is like, are they human? Are they an elf? Are they a dwarf? And so on. And then you have your character class, which is the things they can do in the world. So if they're a bard, they're a magic caster, and their magic usually comes from music or storytelling or dance. Or they can be a wizard, it's a wizard. Or you could be a fighter and not have any magic. Although some fighters do have magic. It's a whole thing.
A friend, Maddie in the chat, said, continue to address me, a viewer at home. So know that you're being supported right now. Are you good? Can you hear me? Oh no, I think that goes a lot back to our you can't hear me situation. Let me double check.
Okay, you're coming back. You're coming back.
Coming back? Okay, cool. I also just texted you. Okay, I'm just asking Alex right now if they want to resort to a call. Sorry, folks. Oh, it looks like you're back on my end. Can you hear me okay?
Woo! Yes. I was about to be like, let's give it one more minute. It'll probably reconnect.
Incredibly. Oh, another person in chat, Bonnie said, address me also, please. Oh no. Okay.
There we go. Now we're back.
Okay.
Oh, hi,
Bonnie. Bonnie said, address me also.
Okay,
please.
We're back.
So you're filled with amazing people, supportive people in your chat. But yes, continue with your D&D.
I will finish. Yes. I usually start with, as opposed to thinking of like a class or a race I want to be, I think of what type of story I want to tell. And a lot of that comes from the world that we're playing in. Mm-hmm. So I think one of my favorite ideas that I had was my, I'm currently in a campaign where the world, it's very Feywild, very like fantasy, kind of Alice in Wonderland inspired. And the concept of the setting, it's a pre-written module. If anyone knows Wild Beyond the Witchlight, it's phenomenally written. It's very fun. And the premise is all the characters had something stolen from them by the Fae and you need to get it back. And I was like, I'm going to play a character who was once super confident, who lost all their self-confidence. Because I think that would be interesting to explore in like high fantasy. And then I was like, what would fit into this? And then I picked a bard because I love playing bards. And I was like, okay, what would be beautifully ironic? And there's a bard class called Eloquence Bard, where all their magic comes from being able to speak well and speak confidently in front of people. And I was like, I'm going to play an Eloquence Bard who's gotten stage fright because of what they've lost. Yeah. And that's led to so many cool things. So I also think anything in D&D where you can kind of shoot your character in the foot a little bit is always very fun. I don't like making things so easy for myself in D&D.
No, but that makes it so much more fun, and like you're really building a story in that sense. Like you're establishing all of those obstacles right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and also like I was talking to another DM friend of mine, and he was like, his favorite thing to say players is like, give me knives. Like, give me things in your character that I can use to like create obstacles for you to overcome.
Yeah.
And so anything like that is my favorite way to approach character creation. It's like, how can I make this hard for me, but also fun?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I've never heard of someone building their characters in that way. So like that makes me like really happy and excited to hear about that. And I guess kind of going along those same lines, we'll make it brief because I want to make sure we give us a whole chunk of time to talk about Roguemaker, which we're going to talk about next. But just a quick question of what would you tell someone, and maybe more specifically a theater person in particular, who is on the fence about D&D and are not sure whether they want to play or even know where to start?
Do it. That's the first thing I would say.
Yeah.
I think there's so much online and so much information.
Someone in the chat just said, like writers, quote, killing their darlings. I think that's a perfect analogy for what we were talking about. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's also my friend Emma. Yay. But I would say do it. There's so much information online, and it can be really scary when you like look up D&D stuff and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, nope, too much. Gonna close the computer and walk away. I think there's so many tools that are now making things so accessible. I know Critical Role has a whole little playlist on their channel that very easily describes the D&D classes. There are a lot of YouTube channels that do that. I would recommend even just like watching a live stream of D&D and seeing, because the thing that made me want to do it was seeing and hearing about all these other people having fun with it and then exploring it. Also, this is just my firm belief in D&D. You can do whatever you want as long as it is okay with the other players and with the DM. There's the most important rules in D&D is rule of cool and rule of fun. And so if you want to do something, you're like, oh, but technically that's against the rules. I can't be a bard that's not super charismatic because like they're based in charisma, or I can't be a nice rogue because the rogues are the emo kids of D&D. Like whatever arbitrary rules that some people post, ignore them. You do you. And also there are so many good modules that are pre-written that you can just find online to do a short like 2-hour test game with people. Yeah. Or find a friend who knows D&D and force them to run a one-shot for you.
Exactly.
And then you can test it out and explore. So those are my tips.
But I think that's perfect. No, that's perfect. Because I know some people just get so overwhelmed of like, I wouldn't even know where to go. So that's perfect, perfect advice. So Roguemaker, the thing we've been wanting to talk about this whole time. First, I know this feels silly to start with, but what is Roguemaker? And also, what is it about / who do you play?
That is a very good question. So Roguemaker is an audio drama being a fiction podcast, similar to like a radio play. And the base premise of Roguemaker is it takes place in the future and it's about a commercial space flight that has an engine malfunction that explodes, and all the passengers on the ship are put into individual escape pods, and they're trying to communicate with each other, but the comms aren't working. So they're going in and out of each other's calls, and they're picking up weird commercials and radio interferences. So it's kind of a science fiction whodunit, what's going on. And that's all I'm going to say because the rest would be a spoiler.
True. Can you talk at all about who do you play?
Yes. I play a character who I'm going to say, and it's going to sound weird because it's being said in like an alien pronunciation. But
apologies for butchering it before.
You're good. You should hear all the bloopers of me butchering my own name. Their name is Wo-Olum because they are a Gnonu, which is the wonderfully crafted alien race in Roguemaker. And they are one half of a band called About Gardens. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat and I just saw my friend Morgan. Wolf has never done anything wrong in their life.
The comment in the chat is Morgan saying that your character is an unproblematic fave. So we love that.
Definitely has never done anything wrong ever. But they're one half of the band About Gardens, and they were on the Plutonic 999 space flight to make it to Sirius Rebel 6, which is basically like space Eurovision, if I were to describe it. So a lot of their arc and what's going on, especially in the earlier episodes, are them just trying to figure out how they can make it to the concert still and how they can get in touch with their bandmate, because they want to make sure that their bandmate's okay.
Absolutely.
And I get to sing some amazing original music. That's music.
So special. That's so special. Yeah. I have a clip from the trailer, so we're gonna listen to that really quick, and then we'll chat a little bit more.
This is an emergency announcement to all passengers and crew. Please follow the guiding lights to the escape pods. There has been a malfunction. Please do not panic. Plutonic Flight 999 is equipped with the requisite number of escape pods as per joint government law. There is a pod for everyone. Your safety is our priority.
We'll make it through. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
The pods are connected by radio. We will be able to talk to you.
Here, buckle this strap.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you in a minute.
Yeah.
Whoa?
Yeah.
Can you repeat after me?
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
I've got the best bandmate in the galaxy, so of course, it's gonna be okay.
So that's just a little preview of Roguemaker from the trailer. And the whole trailer is 6 minutes. So go listen to that if you're still like on the fence as to whether to listen. So, I mean, go listen. But, you know. So, Alex, how did you get involved?
Yes. So I mentioned LARPing a little bit earlier. Yeah. So Roguemaker's creation is so fun and interesting because it originated as a LARP.
A live action role play, correct?
Live action role play, yes. But it was a virtual LARP that was done all over Discord, where essentially being in the escape pods was simulated through individual Discord channels. And the LARP was also written by Emma Purinen, who's created Roguemaker in all forms of it.
And I believe is in the chat today from
and is in the chat. So thank you for being here, Emma. And so I was in the LARP, and then Rogue, which then became Roguemaker, went through not many, but a couple of different iterations until it landed on becoming an audio drama. And Emma is a phenomenal writer and a phenomenal voice actor. In the trailer, if you heard like, wow, who's that really cool person voicing that AI? That's Emma.
That's awesome.
And held auditions, and I submitted for it, terrified that I wasn't going to get cast. I was like, I really want to be in this. It's such a good story.
Well, and also you played your character in the original live action role play, right?
Yeah, which is also like nuts. And this is a very different WoW than what they were in the LARP, I would say.
Emma says hi.
Hi. But in like such a good way and such a juicy way. And yeah, I submitted. I got cast along with some incredible voice actors, some of which that like I was already familiar with their work from other audio dramas. If anyone watching this knows the Magnus Archives, we have Alistair Stewart from the Magnus Archives is playing the flight attendant. So I'm just like a lot of people, and I'm like, how did I get in here? Who let me in here? Who let me do this? so I got cast in Roguemaker, immediately started learning the amazing music, and then recorded it in I have my lovely self-tape background, but behind this there's a walk-in closet that I've recorded all my Roguemaker lines in.
Someone else in chat said you got in because you're good. So
that's Rook, who is also on the creative team of Roguemaker, also
Amazing.
incredibly talented in it, and also was one of the people casting it.
I love that so much. Have you always been interested in voice acting, or did this end up being sort of a surprise of a project for you?
So late into my senior year of high school, I started freelancing, doing some voice acting auditions. But it wasn't like voice acting like Roguemaker or anything. That it was a lot of like commercial voiceover things. Like I got really close to getting a Crayola commercial.
Nice.
But I was like, oh, hey, talking is fun. I already do that. Let's see if I can get paid for it.
Yeah.
And then college happened, and I was like, I'm going to take a break because I'm going to focus on college. And then when the pandemic happened, so many of my friends and so many people I knew were doing more voice acting things.
Yeah.
So I got a Blue Yeti microphone. I got a pop filter. Do we have the same Blue Yeti? Do we both? Hey. Hello.
Blue Yeti gang.
Yes. And then I just started submitting for things. I've been able to do a few things in addition to Roguemaker since then. That's really nice. I have to mention this because this was a crazy small world thing.
Yeah.
There's an audio drama musical that I just wrapped recording for.
Yes.
And it's called Rocking Chair. It's being produced by Scantic River Productions. It's so good. And when I went to the read-through, Amy Williams, Wagner College professor Amy Williams, was also cast in it.
And my former voice teacher.
Yes. And it was so exciting to see her. And I wasn't expecting to. I saw her name on the call sheet and I was like, Amy
Must
Williams.
be another.
Well, that's a common name.
Right?
But she literally was like scouted, but like the creative team saw her cabaret at Don't Tell Mamas and scouted her for the project. And she's so good. I love it.
She is.
But so like also working on that, and really Roguemaker is what kind of opened my door into being like, wait a second, I can actually do voice acting again. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so special. I'm curious, what was it like to transition your skills and experiences in theater to voice acting? Like, were there any things that ended up helping you a lot, or some things that ended up being challenges because of your training?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest challenge for me was, I'm sure you know this, fellow Blue Yeti haver, it's a very sensitive microphone and it peaks so very quickly. Easily. So having to learn how to use Audacity and finagle things and figure out like what is the correct volume to speak was definitely a learning curve. And I think I'm still on that curve, if I'm being totally honest. But that was definitely oh no, things are frozen again. Oh no.
That's okay. I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly fine. I hope you can hear me.
Oh, we're back. You're back a little. No.
Oh no. Okay, we were taken off screen for a moment, but we're back. Can you hear me? Can I hear you?
Sort of.
Here. Of course, as soon as I start to call you is when this will resolve itself.
There we go. It resolved itself.
Did it really? Because on my end, it's still a little bit. On my end, you're still frozen. Do you want to just call me then?
I'll pick up.
Okay. Hi there. So
hello.
Okay, you already muted yourself. Amazing. So as long as I bring you up to my mic here, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Amazing. Okay.
It seems really fitting that this happened on the voice acting question.
Oh, absolutely. Because why wouldn't it? Here, do you want to turn your camera off? Or here, I'll take your camera off and try and bring it back on again, just to have it in a not frozen position as best as possible.
That would be so ideal.
Okay, I've brought your screen back on. On my end, there's no video of yours. someone in chat said, "Don't worry, you're frozen in a great pose," which I'm so sorry about, but that's okay. Currently, I don't have video on your end, but we can hear you, and that's the most important part. And if your camera comes back on, then we're good to go. So,
okay, cool.
Yes.
I guess I will just continue talking about voice acting then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think a thing that's super helped me. I know I talked about peeking a little bit and figuring out how to finagle the mics and stuff. Oh, you look back to normal on the screen, but
Okay.
I'm like afraid to go back.
No, that's okay. I don't have. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Beautiful. I have your video, and then we'll get your audio through my phone. So we'll just do it that way.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So the a thing that I think helped me so much was because of so much theater training and things like that. Especially with auditioning, I think I've been very well prepped and primed to really be able to connect to characters very quickly, which has been incredibly helpful both for auditions but also for a quick recording turnaround.
Absolutely.
Where I've just been wanting to, get in materials, get in recordings as soon as possible. And then, sorry, my brain just completely farted.
No, that's okay.
But I think that definitely is a credit to just all the preparation and things I've done in theater, being able to have those character connections and figure it out has been so helpful to be latch onto a character and then be able to elaborate upon it.
Totally.
In a way that I hope has good results.
Yeah. I'm sure the people who have been listening to Roguemaker would definitely agree with that. Also, I'm curious, how long was the process of recording Roguemaker?
The recording process for Roguemaker, when did we finish recording? That's such a good... Let me check the calendar, because the casting went out in, I think it was cast in like October of 2021.
Almost a year ago.
Yeah. And then it was like a 1 to 2 month recording process for episode chunks. So we did like episodes 1 through 4 in one chunk, and we did all that by the end of December. And I think we finished by like March or April, I want to say, because the aforementioned Emma Purinen, creator, actor, writer, is also the Roguemaker sound designer.
Oh, wow.
And has been so incredible in like editing and putting out these episodes so ridiculously quickly. So I'm trying to think of timeline. I think like we had a pretty big chunk already edited before the first episode came out.
Wow.
But it really took maybe, I want to say, in total like 6 months since casting to record everything.
Yeah, that's amazing because you guys have so much and it's so awesome. And I know we're already over time, but I wanted to make sure I got this question in as well. And then we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up. You recently got to go abroad to visit some fellow Roguemakers, yes? How was that?
I did. I went to Scotland, which is so great. And I saw Emma, who's been coming up so much because I adore her. And also Bonnie Calderwood-Aspinwall, who plays Pascal Almajeff in Roguemaker. And it was my first time meeting Bonnie, and they're an absolute delight. Honestly, hi Bonnie. Honestly, listen to Rogue. If you need a reason to listen to Roguemaker, listen to it for like the most beautiful, heartfelt performances that Bonnie puts forth. It really is. The amount of talent that they have is breathtaking. And Bruce, there's a cat. Bonnie has a cat named Bruce, and I got to meet Bruce, and that was the most important. If you listen to Roguemaker, you'll hear Bruce in the credits.
There you go.
Vibe checker.
I love that.
I was able to go to Scotland. It was my first time going there, and it was just so fun to meet people. A great thing about Roguemaker was we have
cast from all over the world. Like, we have some people in the UK, and then we have like 3 time zones across the US, and also we have a cast member in Malaysia.
Oh, wow.
So, which made scheduling super easy and convenient.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it was so nice being able to like go to Scotland and be able to meet these people who I spend so much time with. Spend so much time with recording and rehearsing, and then being like, oh, you're a person.
Yeah.
I think that was like one of my favorite Roguemaker memories.
Absolutely.
Just being able to see like the connections come to fruition in person.
Totally. And of course, where can people go listen to and support Roguemaker?
That's a great question. So the Roguemaker website is www.roguemaker.space. So instead of .com, it's .space.
Amazing.
Roguemaker, ROGUE, maker.space. It's also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, anywhere that you can listen to podcasts, you can find Roguemaker. And listen to it. It's really good. The website has a lot of handy character descriptions and transcripts and summaries. It's a very special project. Listen to it.
Perfect. Amazing. And now that we're getting to the end of this, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find your work, etc.?
On social media, the social media I'm most active on, I would say, is Instagram, with like a lot of asterisks next to most. But my Instagram is at Alexandra Rose DeAngelis. I'm also, for more voice acting update things, I'm on Twitter at AlexRoseDEA. And if you want any more information on me for any reason, or you want to see more stuff, see what I'm up to, my website is alexandrarosedeangelis.com.
And her website is so well built, so you should go check it out because it's super easy to navigate, and that's a huge compliment. So anyway, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lora_Marjoram, my website, www.loramarjoram.com. You can find this show on Instagram at Overtures Show. That's where I post the most up-to-date, what's happening, who's coming on, where you can submit questions and all that good stuff. You can find us obviously on Overtures Show on YouTube, which is amazing because we had so many wonderful active viewers today. And I want to say thank you all so much for joining the chat and hanging out and chatting with us. It's been so much fun. And you can listen to the backlog of our episodes on YouTube, as well as now Spotify and Apple Music. I'm a bit behind on editing those and getting those up because I started those a bit later than this channel, but that's okay. They're all coming out. And so this will be a podcast episode eventually. My next stream is to be determined because scheduling really far in advance is hard for any type of theater person ever. So I will have those notifications coming out soon. So keep an eye on the Instagram, and that's where you can see that. But without any more ado, Alex, do you have any final thoughts for viewers live and in the future?
My final thoughts are, firstly, thank you for viewing. Lora is amazing and is so great and incredible, and come back to watch more because this has been so great.
Thank you.
And I think also my thoughts are just do things that scare you, even if the thing that scares you is playing Dungeons and Dragons, because it will help you find things about yourself and a performer that you didn't think was possible.
100% agreed. Cosign, all the good stuff. With that, thank you all so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day. So we will see you later. Bye.